Whew. Oh, it's not going to be a good pour. It's not going to be a good pour. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Perfecto. Cheers. What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday from beautiful Niagara here in Canada. It's a beautiful day. I don't know where you guys are. I hope it's good weather here. I mean, it's like 22 degrees, 23 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in sight. So thanks for joining. I got a really fun guest today. Please don't make any mentions of the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago Bears, because she is from Chicago. And we all know those teams are not the greatest. So, just don't, talk about sports or those teams. But yeah, guys, I just want to thank everybody for joining us. I know it's Sunday. I believe it's the first Sunday of September. Dropped the video yesterday. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out. I've got a video dropping on Monday. I am going live on Monday as well with FaceTime. We're doing our speculation and our new comic book day. So tune in for that. Tuesdays, you guys know it's Comic Talk with Mr. Key Issues, probably some other guests. So stay tuned for that. And guys, without further ado, that's it from me. Those are my announcements. Again, thanks for joining. Cheers. Happy Sunday. With that said, I'm going to be bringing in my guest, Miss Candis from Chicago.
Hey, hi guys.
What's going on?
What's
Finally get you on the show. It's been we were planning on doing it like a week and a half ago, but things happen with like work and schedule. Yeah, so thank you for joining. Thanks for being here. I really am excited to get to get to know you a little bit better, get to know the scene in Chicago. You have a Instagram and a blog, correct?
Yes, I do. I'm a geek lifestyle blogger. So my Instagram is at Candis_Barbosa. And then my lifestyle blog, geek lifestyle blog, is CandisBarbosa.com. On the Insta, I pretty much post about comics, books, and then just anything like geek culture related. And then on my blog, I do a lot of book reviews and subscription box reviews, like geeky ones. Hoping to eventually dive into more like comic reviews and stuff now that I'm like more in the community now. And really so yeah, that's like always a work in progress, but yeah, both things.
So I kind of find it I find it fascinating, and not being offensive to any collectors or anything like that. But I always find it interesting because you're into comics.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your boyfriend, but he is actually not into comics. So I find I always find that interesting when like one partner is into like something like so passionately, and then the other one's like into something like different, right? Because like he's into I believe you said like designer toys and things like that.
Yeah, I mean he does like read comics, and like he definitely reads different comics than I do. He's definitely into more of like the Marvel, DC.
Smart man.
But I'm definitely the one that probably reads more comics.
So is he more like a collector than a reader, or?
Oh, for him?
Yeah.
No, he has a pretty small like comic collection. I definitely do both. He's just very more like specific of what he reads.
Yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody collects and reads totally different.
Yeah. His thing is more of like designer toys, which are basically just very artistic like toys or kind of like sculptures and things. It's not quite like the Funkos. It's like
that man. Funko people are different people. Like I
definitely dabble in that as well.
Yeah. I collect. I don't collect like certain people do. You know what I mean? Like when you say you collect Funko, like if you talk to like an actual Funko collector, man, they go crazy. Like
it's pretty intense.
They come in armies. Like they are strapped, ready to go. Like it's crazy. I wish like I want to be choosy how I say this because like everyone has a different passion, right? Like I don't want to say like, oh, I wish there was like more of that in the comic community, because there is. There's a lot of people passionate, but just Funko people, man, they are they're just a different breed. And no disrespect, like I love them, I respect them. Like I said, I collect them, but yeah, they just the way they go about their stuff, man, it's a different world.
It's a whole other thing, and they can actually go for so much money too.
Yeah.
It really depends. I mean, a lot of the cool ones end up being really expensive, but it's like gotta afford comics too. So
yeah, exactly. I think the thing with like Funkos too is like they're cheap at first, right? Like they're like $10, $12, whatever.
Yeah, and then it depends because I know a little bit like when things launch online, like people go crazy, and you have to like you literally like waiting on the other end trying to like buy it in like the next minute, otherwise it sells out, and then people throw it up for like depending what it is, it can be
Exactly.
like
You know what? That's the thing with comics too, right? Like
yeah.
you go on New Comic Book Day and you're there and you pick up your book, and then like an hour later, like the same book is like 50, $60, and you're like, wait, what? What happened there? Like, and then you're like, why didn't I pick up 2? Why didn't I pick up 3? And then, yeah. Before we go on, I'm just gonna acknowledge the chat here. We got a few people here. Evan, thanks for joining, brother. This is BS. I almost forgot because your YouTube never gave. Yeah, I'm sorry about. I mean, it's not my fault, but at least you're here. Carla, thank you for joining.
Carla,
let's do this. Of course. Last Kid, what's going on?
Hey.
Hazard, FaceTime. I'm late. You're never late, brother. Big Country, what's going on?
Hey.
1, 2. Manny, what's going on? And we got Pat so far. Thanks for joining, guys.
Hi.
And of course,
hey,
my last guest. This is actually how I met Candis, was through Shadi.
Hey.
I butchered the name, but all right. So let's get down to it. You're from the Windy City. You're from Chicago.
Yeah.
I've been to Chicago about 3 times. This was a few years ago. I think the last time I was in Chicago. Probably 2014, so probably around the time that the Bulls were relevant. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I had a tough time finding my way around comics there. So, like, you could probably give us a better, a better scene of like how the scene is in Chicago with comics.
Oh yeah, there's just so many everywhere, especially like in. I'm reading your comment. Yeah, there's just so many, especially like in Chicago. My top 2 that I really like are Chicago Comics, which that one is. Let me just look at my notes because I always forget where that one's at. On Clark Street, and then we have Graham Cracker Comics, which is the first comic store I ever went to. And that one, they have 9 locations. But my favorite one is in the Loop, which is like in the main city area. Let's see. Other honorable mentions. Let's see. We have Challengers Comics, which is on Western, and G-Mart Comics is Logan Square, and Oh Yeah Comics in Skokie. So they're all very different. I really love Chicago Comics specifically because they have, depending on what you're into, they have, your, let's see, art books and comics, Funkos, toys, like blind boxes. They really have it all, and the staff there is super nice. They're always super helpful. And then Graham Cracker is pretty similar. Let's see, a lot of these comic stores, they have the same things. They have your action figures and your back issues and all that stuff. They all have really nice staffs, and I always find things there.
So you have about what? I think I counted 4 stores there in like your.
Yeah, there's honestly so many, and then depends like if you're going, outside of the city, there's even more than that. So yeah, it's definitely if you go, you just like type it in, and you'll find a whole entire list, and they're all really good.
I would never have thought like Chicago would be one of those like big comic cities. You know what I mean?
There's so many. And I'm always finding things. And then a lot of other places that you don't always think about, they're not comic stores, is like other places I've gotten comics like really cheap has been like Half Price Books is a really good one. Honestly, that one I've gotten like so many back issues for like $1 to $2. So if you have that in your area, because I know that's like a chain, so I'm not sure. Do you have those in Canada?
Trying to think. No, we usually just like
for like a half off books or something. Those are really good too, because then you can get your graphic novels for like pretty decent condition, and then they'll be like.
We usually do that around like I don't know if you guys have this holiday. It's like the one right, because I know for like Americans, like the way it works for you guys is like Thanksgiving is like from the outside looking in, right? I think from the outside looking in for the Americans, Thanksgiving is bigger than Christmas. Right? Would you say or no?
I mean, it's I mean, just like as a general holiday, or are we talking about like
just
there's
like a general holiday.
things?
Yeah, general holiday. And I say that because right after Thanksgiving, you guys have Black Friday, right? So the equivalent of what Black Friday is like our Boxing Day. So a lot of stores will do that. December 26th, like right after Christmas. It's like like a shit show because you can't move. Like everybody's just buying up things like that. But yeah, that's when like most comic shops have like a deal like that throughout the whole year. I mean, unless the store's going out of business, you're not going to see a sale sign or like, you know.
Yeah, a lot of the places in Chicago. I mean, first of all, for the holiday thing, yeah, I'd say in general we celebrate like the Christmas holiday a lot like bigger. But I guess like where it's at as like Black Friday is just like crazy everywhere. I've never been to a comic book store on a Black Friday, so I don't really know what they have. But a lot of the stores I go to, they always have deals, and they also, I think Graham Cracker always has like a book, and then you can even like get little coupons or things, and they have like sales of like their graphic novels are like half off or something. So it just depends. You gotta like know when to look out for it.
I just found out about Graham Crackers not too long ago. Yeah, it's a really good place. I've heard good things about it, and yeah, like you said, there's a lot of stores. Yeah, Manny. Yeah, Cyber Monday too. Cyber Monday, yeah, we have that as well. I'm not sure if it's the same date for you guys. Like, do you guys do it like Christmas time, or is your Cyber Monday like the one after Thanksgiving?
That should be after Thanksgiving. Yeah, because you have your Black Friday right after Thanksgiving, and then I think it's that Monday that is also Cyber Monday. So,
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I do want to get into this. Yeah, so I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but guys, as you guys might know from different videos lately, I'm in the middle of like moving as I just bought a new house. So, like my setup where I was is kind of like packed up. So probably for the next like couple weeks, my setup will probably be in this living room or my dining room. I don't have this stuff behind me in my living room. So yeah, Newbie got the tequila and wine as a background. I got to change it up sometime, guys. Got to change it up sometime. Evan is making, so Black Friday is dead this year. It's all online. I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, who knows this year? Obviously everything is online. Even with like the Funko stuff, they had everything with like cons and stuff was like all online. So like you couldn't even get a lot of things in stores.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, like thinking back where we were probably in June, right? People were like, oh, you know what? No, come September, come October, we'll have some cons. And, here we are. There's nothing. I mean, I think it's the smart play to probably, the comic guy in me, just being around like people who are into the same thing and the excitement and books and everything that's there. Of course, I want them to be on, but at the same time, I mean, I think there's bigger things going on in the world where we gotta, kind of squish this so we don't have another year go by where we don't have cons and we're not hanging out with everyone and things like that. So
yeah, I mean, right before everything, like I managed to make it to like one convention, like C2E2, right? I think end of February, right before everything happened. Because there's a lot of like other conventions that happen during the year, and like all those, of course, were canceled.
So that one, okay. So Shadi, I mean, she was just like, she's like, oh yeah, I've been to New York Comic Con like a few times, and I was like, okay, whoa, like rubbing it in, jealous first of all. Chicago's the C2E2. That is probably what, like if you were to rank it, it's probably like a top 5 con, correct?
Like is like in the whole world or like
just US, like it's a big one, is it not?
It seems to be. I mean, I don't know honestly. I mean, I don't know how many people have actually like heard of it or not, because it's like a Chicago only convention.
Oh, okay.
So, like maybe because we have Wizard World also, and I feel like that one is maybe more known because that one is not just Chicago. So I don't know if people know C2E2, but
I'm thinking like what's the one? People. We had this debate like a few shows ago where people were like, "Oh no, like this convention's better than this one," and I was like, when you think about the top 3, I guess you would put like obviously San Diego. I mean, if you put San Diego on there, you're crazy.
San Diego,
New York.
I don't know. Maybe is it the Emerald City?
Emerald, yeah, in Seattle. I mean, those were the 3 that.
Yeah.
Somebody, I don't know if they were like pulling my leg, but somebody was like, "Don't forget the Rhode Island one," and I was like, Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Sure.
there's small conventions everywhere, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But like, I can't. I don't know if I can put like Rhode Island on the convention like a top five. Like, come on, get
Yeah.
out of here. So yeah, so you actually told me you go to a lot of these conventions, right?
hmm let's see. Yeah, I've only been to Chicago conventions, or actually, that's not true. I went to one in Wisconsin. That was the only one that I've ever gone like outside of Chicago. But obviously, like San Diego and New York are on my list. Yeah, so the big ones are Wizard World and C2E2, which I go to. C2E2 is usually around the spring, anywhere between like February and April. And I think that's honestly probably my favorite one that I've been to.
And that's the last one that you went to before the pandemic. Is that the one that
Yeah,
you
and I've
went
been
to?
there definitely let's see how many years. I don't know, maybe 4 years at least. Um yeah, that one's probably my favorite because they have a really good artist alley. Which also is like a big thing for me that if I'm gonna go to like a con, like it has to just have a really good artist alley.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like not just to only like meet like comic creators, but just like I'm a graphic designer, so I'm like really into just like any kind of
yeah,
illustration,
you
art,
are.
and that's really fun for us. 'Cause my boyfriend's also a graphic designer, and we like the same kind of things that we
I feel
go.
like the last two cons that I went to, so like where I am in Niagara, we obviously have Niagara Falls Comic Con, and then there's Hamilton, and then there's the Toronto, which is like a fan expo one.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big one. Big for like our area, just because Toronto has like 3 million people, so
Yeah.
everyone in that area goes, right. So it gets a little crazy. But I've noticed the last couple, like for the ones here, I mean, like Niagara Falls from me is about, I don't know, like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like I have family that lives there. Like I'm almost there every day. It's just the commute to work and things like that.
Yeah.
But those ones have, I don't know. We usually have good guests, but lately, I'd say in the last like year or two, it has been like a little iffy, just because like certain, people cancel or things like that. Like we were supposed to have Jason Momoa, and he like
Yes,
canceled.
I think Chicago Wizard World was supposed to have him too, but I don't think he made it.
Yeah, and I bought like two Aquaman Funkos.
To have him sign.
I only bought them because I wanted him to sign them.
Yeah.
And yeah, the guy doesn't show up. I was like so pissed. I'm like, are you serious? Like, ugh. So San Diego Comic Con, bum out. It was canceled. Damn you, COVID. Bigger conventions are for the spectacle. Smaller conventions are for collecting. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Comic cons are my graceland. I need to visit Chicago and go with you.
Yes.
You guys aren't too far. I mean, like Chicago and New York is what, 6 hour drive. I mean, if you guys
Yeah.
flew,
Well, it was like 2 hours, I think.
yeah, it's nothing. What's going on, Sana? Sana, one of my favorite people. If you guys haven't checked out her channel, please do so. She's into like some crazy stuff, novels, manga, Laura Croft, all this craziness. She's in Iron Man, like out of nowhere. She messaged me and she's like, I love Iron Man now. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah. So yeah, Jason Momoa, yeah, the cons. I mean, I would love to say, to be able to say that I went to C2E2. So I'll definitely have to check that one out, especially like knowing people, like I feel like COVID has allowed a lot of people like us, like people in the chat, things like that, to get to know one another to the point where like I know a lot of people when COVID is over is like they're gonna meet up and they're gonna go to places and collect. So like I'm looking forward to that because me being so close to the border too, like I've already got plans to go to like Philly, Chicago, New York. Like I've got all these plans, and now I'm gonna go and like meet some of you guys and like go collect with you guys for like a day or something. So it's pretty cool. Moving on from like the con side, favorite artists, books you collect, like you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so many. I have stacks next to me. Okay. So I guess I can explain just the first one that got me into comics, I guess. To kind of like dive into that. Yeah, so the first one that I got into was the Archie comics. Yeah, so I started reading the Archie comics when I was maybe around, I think like 9 or 10. My mom got me from like Kmart the little, what they call digest, which I have just an example, not one that I've collected, but just like these type.
Yeah.
And I would just like read those like all the time. And that was pretty much like the main comics that I read when I was a kid. But then I kind of like dropped off for a while and just like didn't read a lot like through my teenage years and of those. And then pretty much like when I was in college, I think my last couple years of college, I got really into comics again. Pretty much because I think me and my family, we went to a flea market and this guy was like selling like dirt cheap, like all these like kids comics that I liked when I was like growing up and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So that guy kind of like got me like the bug again, like, oh, I want to read that. And then I was recommended to go to a comic book store in Chicago, so the Graham Cracker one I mentioned, and that one just kind of like got me into like reading a bunch of stuff. So let's see, what do we got here? Yeah, so I love all the Archie comics. I like the originals. I like the new ones. What OG Archie? Let's see. I like the ones that are pretty much around the 90s, the 80s or 90s, and those are pretty much like the ones that will look very similar to like this style. I appreciate and like the really, really like original Archies, but I just can't get into it as much. So those are probably my least favorite, but I definitely appreciate the art. It's like really cool seeing like how Archie started and what he looks like now, because now it's totally like me get another one.
You watch Riverdale?
Do I watch it?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a while, but I do watch it.
Yeah, when it first came out, I was like, whoa, what? Like,
yeah, I was a little nervous to watch it because I was like, oh, and they went really dark with it. So I wasn't sure if it was gonna be like more of like a comedic thing at first, and then they turned more dark. But to be honest, there's so many types of like Archie series because they have the whole horror genre also. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, so then there's like all like the newer ones too. So I'd say I pretty much like all of them. I mean, of course, like I have a special place in my heart for the like originals because that's what I read growing up. But like moving on from that, let's see. Another big one I always liked reading was the Buffy comics. The original Dark Horse ones, and then now the new ones that are by Boom Studios, which I think
are a new Slayer, right? There's a new Slayer or something like that, I think. Or maybe it was like 2 months ago, maybe. I remember I picked up the comic because they're like,
I'm a little behind, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, then I want to spoil it for you. Never mind.
Yeah, that one, it's like, because for the Buffy comics, the originals, they kind of start off with like during the series, and then they kind of move along to like because how many seasons did Buffy have? I think they had like 7 seasons, and then pretty much the comics are like a continuation, which I still haven't read all of them, but they're definitely like some of my favorites. And then the new series, I think, is, well, she's still in high school, so yeah, Buffy.
Willow, that's what her name was.
Yeah, the Willow one. That
Xander was the other one, right?
Two of that, but because I didn't finish the rest of the Buffy series, I was a little confused. But those are really great. And for both series, the Dark Horse and the Boom, they do a really good job of actually looking like the characters, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And then plus the original Buffy was, I think it was written or at least produced by Joss Whedon, which is the creator of Buffy. So it's like, it's going to be authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so many Buffy series to read. Yeah, I definitely have started a lot of them, but I still need to like go through a lot because there's like, I think there's like 11 seasons of the comics. So that's probably like 8, 9, 10, 11, like 4 or 5 to read. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I always give credit to people like, my good buddy, Key Issue. I always have like admiration for the guy because like he reads a ton of books. Like he reads all the time, right? But I don't read as much as him, and that's why he's so knowledgeable. But he reads so much. But there's so many books. I mean, people are always like, "Hey, man, did you read that Iron Man one?" Because like obviously I'm Iron Man, and I'm like, no. Like I'll be the first one to say like I've never really read the whole run. There's just so many books, and then you get
it's just so hard to keep track of everything. Like I like so many different things, which I have like whole stacks here and everything. It's like, but it's just hard to keep track of. Plus, I'm a book reader too, so that's trying to juggle that is always hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me just see a couple others. I love the Scott Pilgrims, of course. Those ones I read pretty early on. I think I saw the movie first, and then I read the books after, which are really good. Which of course is like Brian Lee O'Malley, who does so many other ones like Snot Girl, which is another favorite.
Who? Oh, somebody had just talked to me. Oh, I think it was Sade. Yeah, she likes Snot Girl. She likes Snot Girl.
Oh, it's so good.
Something about that.
Yeah, and if you read, Scott Pilgrim or you read Knock Girl first, like you'll like it because it's a very similar style to each other of how he writes the comics. So I definitely recommend those. Let's see. Another one that I really like that I actually read the whole entire series that I could probably say was Giant Days. Like, I really recommend. Like for me, I like a mixture of like the fantasy type like comics that are, a lot of them that are based off like shows I watched and stuff. But then I also like a lot of things that are just very realistic and very relatable. So yeah, Giant Things is a big one that I definitely like. That's just like it's really quirky and wacky, and it's about like three girls that are in college and they're just like the shenanigans that they get into. But that one I highly recommend if you just want something that's like just super simple.
Yeah.
No crazy backstories or anything, just super simple.
You're more into because I think you touched on like when we were chatting, you say like you don't mind Marvel and DC, but you're like set like your favorite books to read and things like that. Like you're into indie more than anything, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think just because there's like such a like variation of just everything. Yeah, I definitely love Marvel and DC, but I'm just not. I feel like I'm not as knowledgeable, and like I think more recently I've been just really wanting to get into everything with like all the movies and stuff coming out. But yeah, it's just like something that I don't know as much about, so it can be kind of intimidating to like dive into because you're like, where do I start? Like,
Yeah.
pick like which characters you like best, and then kind of like I guess I have to just ask around and figure out where you start because it's hard.
And I think we kind of spoke about that because when you had mentioned that, I thought it was interesting because I had told you that I kind of get intimidated by like indies, because there is so many and there's different things coming out all the time, and it does get a little overwhelming. So like I kind of understand like where you said that. It kind of just made me realize like maybe the other way around, like people feel the same way. Like maybe I'm not the only one that thinks some indies are intimidating because I do struggle with like doing some research and reading on titles that I like, and then looking at what other people are suggesting, and then the indies, and then this, and then that. So like, yeah, I can agree with you, but it is interesting because I always thought it was just me. But yeah, no, I can totally see how Marvel and DC is intimidating. I mean, there's so many characters, so many storylines, so many volumes, so many things.
Yeah.
I think with the movies though, like we're in a good age. I would say in the last obviously 10 years, we're in a good time where like people can relate to new characters and things like that because we see them on like TV shows or we see them on the big screen, right? So we're able to kind of like be like, okay, that's a cool character, right? Like,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I love that so many, comics are coming from TV shows or TV shows are coming from comics. Like either way. 'Cause that's a lot of times like a lot of the ones I like. We mentioned another one.
Is there like an indie title right now, or like maybe you have like a sleeper pick in DC and Marvel that you would want to see as like a show or a movie?
Ooh, that's a good question. Show or a movie? You said Marvel or DC?
No, or indie.
Oh, anything?
Yeah, or indie. Is there one that like you're thinking like, oh, they have to do something, or you
Oh,
want to see it?
I know it'd be really wacky, but Snot Girl would be really good because it's like it's a drama. I feel like
Yeah.
that would be very good. Trying to think what else. Um, Giant Days would be cute. Giant Days actually they did a novel version, like an actual book. I haven't read it yet, but that's kind of funny. Let's see.
Jedi Johnson here says he joined a little bit late, but very important question.
Do I
you read or like Star Wars?
Yeah, I definitely like Star Wars. I'm not like super hardcore where it's like again with the Marvel and DC where I don't know as much, but I definitely appreciate and enjoy the movies. For reading, I haven't read a lot, but I've collected probably more than I read.
Yeah.
I really want to get into it because like it's a cool thing to read those. But again, it's like very similar to Marvel and DC.
Isn't that how it happens though? Like people collect more than they actually read. Like I know he's got like boxes. He's got
it's a story of my life. I'm not proud about it.
He's got boxes, and I'm like, man, have you read these? And he's like, I don't even know what's in that box. To be honest, I'm like,
yeah, because it's hard because like when you don't want to get behind because then you're gonna have to like get all the back issues, and depending where you get them, it's gonna end up being like upcharged. So you're like, I gotta get this now, but then you're like, I haven't gotten to it, or I'm really behind. Like there's a point where I'll be reading a series and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to keep buying the singles. I'll wait till the trade comes out and collect that way, or I'm not gonna buy more of that series until I get to that point because I'm not there yet. So it's a struggle.
I get into that too, like just recently, and I don't know if it's just because of COVID or whatever, but there are books or characters or storylines that I might not necessarily, pick up. I think I had made a shocking revelation about like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago when Captain Marvel 18 came out, and I said, "This is the only Captain Marvel book I've ever purchased, and it's only because there's like a first appearance." Like normally I wouldn't buy it. I'm trying to get better at like only buying things that A, I'll probably read, and B, like I'll want to keep, because I don't want to just keep, like every Wednesday it seems like, my wallet is just like, man, goodbye, like yeah. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because there's always books coming out, right? Like
weekly.
Yeah.
It's not like you're like, oh, I can, get it in a month. I mean, I've definitely done that. Oh, we should say agreed. Super Snap Girl with Gossip Girl vibes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying, but like it just gets to the point where it's because it's like weekly, like I don't know. It's a lot.
I think what happens is Wednesday or Tuesday now, because like DC, so like Tuesday, Wednesday, everybody's pumped. It's like, oh my God. Okay. Then Thursday, Friday, I mean, you're already talking about the next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, or Friday, if like you haven't got your books yet. And then by Saturday, it's like, oh man, I can't wait for, like there's no, I don't know. It's just like, it's always like, what's next? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like, it just like, I've definitely been on both sides of it where I haven't gotten comics for like months. I tried really hard not to, or I just like, the stores aren't like super close to me. So I pretty much have to like go out of my way into the city to like get something. Although recently, I've been doing a lot, trying to get stuff on more on like when it comes out like every week now. A big place that I highly recommend it's called My Comic Shop. Like,
oh yeah, I'm trying to get sponsored by there because I shop there all the time.
I hope everybody started that, but it's a really good one. Definitely like if you can't go out, and then they have a really good selection of all their covers and their variants, which is really good. Because sometimes like when you go in the store, they don't have what you want. You want like a specific cover, so that's really good. And their back issues are really cheap too. So
I will say, My Comic Shop does a really good job at grading, like their grading system. Again, I mean, I'm sure maybe not in this chat, maybe, years from now when someone's watching this video, they'll be like, what are you talking about? They're everyone has good experiences and bad experience, but in my experience of using them for like 2 years now, they grade very well. Sometimes, I mean, I've had books where I've bought them, really older books, like mid-grade. So I'm talking like raw at like a 3.54, and like I'll go get it graded or something like that, and it comes back like a 5 or something. So like they're really good at what they do, I find. If I ever have a question, they're really good. Their shipping is amazing.
Oh my God, their shipping, like it's boxes and within boxes, but it's always gonna be protected. Because I will say, I love ordering from Archie Comics, but they don't know how to ship.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of put everything in there, and then like sometimes I'll get it dinged up, and I care about that. Definitely that it looks nice and stuff. You're gonna pay the money for it, and then I'll be like, guys, like there's this damage on it, and there was no packaging, so it's like I definitely appreciate like places that do that.
So Jennifer here is saying, Things from Another World has a pretty good selection online. I don't know if I've ever, I'll have to check that out. I've never.
Yeah. It's cool. Okay.
Things from Another World. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Paul, what's going on? Thank you for joining, brother. CLG, most of the time they undergrade. Yeah. And I love it. Honestly, I really do enjoy buying from there. I think a lot of things are really well priced. Of course, I'm in Canada, so when it comes over the border, I'm paying a little extra. But in the same token, I mean, I'd rather buy from them knowing what I'm getting than say like in eBay or something like that. But yeah, they've had really good their auctions. Have you ever done like some of their auctions? I mean, they go like weekly, but
no.
Yeah, they've got tons of books. Usually they do. I think it's like every 2 or 3 months they do what's called a prime auction. And they literally have like I think they got about like 22 to 25 pages, and on each page there's probably like 50 to 60 books, but it's like prime, like they're like really hard books to get from all titles, right? You got indie, DC, Marvel, everything. But they do have weekly auctions, and they have some really good stuff.
Yeah, I noticed they had that there, but I never looked into it. That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out just to see what they have.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. They have a lot of indies, and I don't think a lot of people know that. Jennifer here saying they're local to me here in Oregon, and they're owned by Dark Horse. Okay, definitely check them out. Which city in Canada? I am in St. Catharines, Ontario. I'm basically like 12, 15 minutes from Niagara Falls. What's going on, Joe? Thanks for joining. At Free Key, I have a cart full of variants waiting for me to press and buy. Jeez.
Yeah, always.
Oh, sweet, dude. You're like 45 minutes away from me. Not far. I actually just moved, so I'm gonna be moving to Burlington. So I'm sure you know where that is. Everyone else is probably like, "What the hell is he talking about?" All right, so let's get back to you because this show is about you, Miss Chicago, Miss Candis. All right, so you're more into indie. You do read DC. You find it intimidating. I think I saw a comment. I brought it up. Panda agreed with me, right? Because I had said, I find indies are very intimidating. So that's pretty interesting. You mentioned that you go to a lot of the cons and stuff like that. You also mentioned that you do meet and greets, correct?
Yeah. I'm definitely very specific on who it is. But I've done, I think, only meet and greets at Wizard World Chicago. That one, the main ones that I've done is the Charmed cast, which I don't know.
Yeah.
That. That's like
you like the show, I'm assuming? Like that's your thing?
What'd you say?
That's your thing, like Charmed? Charmed is like your...
Yeah. That's like my favorite show that I watched like growing up. I don't know how many of you guys know it, but it was originally on the WB in the 90s, and it's just like a show about like sister witches, which is really fun. But yeah, they've actually come to like Wizard World a couple times to do like panels and meet and greets and stuff. So I've done it twice. The first time was just with like two of them. If anybody knows, it was Holly Marie Combs and Brian Cross, who are Piper and Leo. And then the second time, I did another one because they had more characters come. They had Drew Fuller, who plays Chris, and Billy Zane, who did like a small part.
The Phantom. If you don't know who the Phantom is, Google Phantom Billy Zane.
Yeah, he did mention about that too. But the second time I went, because they have like this spell book that's called the Book of Shadows, and I ended up getting a replica from that about like a week prior. So I just had to like have them all sign it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome.
Where is that from? The Book of Shadows.
That's the Charmed, the book.
Charmed? I'm thinking like I have this image in my head where someone's like the Book of Shadows, but I think I'm thinking of like the Simpsons episode with like the stone cutters or something.
I don't know. It's really cool. But I got a replica of it because it was something that I wanted for like the longest time. So it was perfect that I ended up getting it just in time to get them signed because that wasn't even the idea.
If somebody approached me like just on the street and was like, "Hey, take this," and I'd be like, "What is it?" And they're like, "The Book of Shadows." I probably would not take it. You know what I mean? Like, I probably just would look the other way or run and be like, "No, I'm good." Like I don't know if I'd want that in my house. I don't know.
No, it's a really cool book. The art in there, like just for the show, is amazing. Oh, Alyssa Milano was such a big, yeah. I love all of them. They're awesome. But yeah, see. And then who else have I met? Her name escapes me, but Anya from Buffy, I met her and had her sign an action figure, which was really cool. If anyone can remind me what her name is. And then Dan Fogler from Fantastic Beasts, who plays Jacob, I had him sign my Funko Pop, which was really cool. I think those are the main ones. And then we just have really good Book of Shadows to think of. Oh, no, it's definitely not a terrible Blair Witch. They did even like a little spoof part about that, even in their show about like the Blair Witch. They were like making fun of it.
Do you remember? I was in grade 4 when that movie came out, and I remember watching it at like a birthday party that this guy had.
What?
Yeah, and his parents, you know, they were drinking. They had a pool, so they were all there. It was probably like 10 o'clock. We were all downstairs, and yeah, we were watching that movie. And I remember like I thought it was like the most terrifying movie of like all time. Cause I was like, oh man, this is real. This is real. And yeah, it was, yeah, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
But yeah, the second one is terrible. The second one is just like garbage. Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a second one, to be honest.
So the second one is like it's like obviously the first one is like people just randomly go and they try to kind of show like, you know, oh my God, like this is like this is happening right now. The second one is like this group of photographers and this like really goth girl who can like, I don't know if like she has something with spirits or something. She's supposed to be like really badass. They go into the woods where the first one happened and they try to like, you know, figure out what's going on and if it's real. They find this like cottage, they go into it, and then at the end, and sorry, I should have said spoiler alert, but I mean the movie came out in like 90 or something, people. So like, no, I don't want anybody being like, no, don't tell me. Yeah, and at the end of it, I guess like the Blair Witch ghost like fucks them all over, and like they all get charged with like murder or some shit like that. Again, I didn't really see it because I was like, man, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I like the first Blair Witch, but part 2 is bad. It's terrible. Yeah.
A lot of sequels aren't always as good.
Endings can be rushed. Oh, how do you feel about this? This is a good question to ask you because you're more into indies. So Jedi saying, I enjoy indies too, but I'm skeptical lately. In my experience, indie endings can be rushed and not fulfilling.
I guess it depends what you're reading. I mean, like I said, like Buffy went on for like 4 seasons of the original one, and you know that one I can't honestly say like how it ended or anything. What do you think? I don't know. I guess it depends on how long the series is, really.
The indie that I liked, and obviously it's like super mainstream now. I really enjoyed the movie. Was Old Guard. I really enjoyed that story. I love the movie. Like I thought the movie was awesome. The other one that I just was actually able to get is 7 Secrets and Firepower. Firepower, they did like a free comic book, like I think like a month ago or 3 weeks ago. And then when the issue 1 came out, it was basically like a preview. So like a lot of people just grabbed 2. This past Wednesday, a lot of people grabbed number 3. I haven't read it yet. It's really hot. But yeah, 7 Secrets is supposed to be like one that a lot of people are talking about, one that a lot of people are liking. So
yeah, I don't know much about it yet. Yeah, that's cool.
It comes in like a poly bag. Like if you were lucky to get your shop to have it, like you were able to get in a poly bag. Because I know,
cool.
Yeah, I know Key Issues picked it up with a poly bag, and yeah, he's like, oh, this is a 9A, and I had to remind him. I'm like, man, just remember, just because it's in a poly bag doesn't mean anything. So anybody in the chat, if you're buying something and you don't know this already, just because it's in a poly bag, please don't think it's near mint or anything. All right. So, so you also do subscription boxes, right?
Yeah. That's something that I'll definitely like review on my blog or on my gram or whatever. Yeah, that I like a lot of the nerdy ones. So, just like even in the past, like there was some that they're not in business anymore, but they did a lot of like comic related ones where that you just get like either just like blind like random ones, which was a cool way to discover ones.
Yeah.
There's a ton of still comic ones out there. I don't really remember enough to like shout out because I don't not subscribe. But if you're interested in that, there's plenty that you can get. Ones that I collect though are Owl Crate, which is a book subscription, but they do throw in comics sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's see, and they give you like a lot of other little things. Charmed has a box also, if you didn't know.
I'm sure you're subscribed to that as well.
Yeah, and that one's cool because the actual box, it looks like the Book of Shadows. So it's really cool. Yeah, that one is like they never have Charmed merch. It's like something that like a lot of I feel like I don't know, like with Buffy they have a bunch of merch and like a lot of other things, but like Charmed for some reason they don't. So that's a good way to get merch if you like Charm stuff. I also like doing Loot Crate. I've done like the regular one that just, you get a whole like bunch of different like comic related things or just nerdy stuff. But the one I get specifically is the Wizard World Loot Crate. All things Harry Potter, which I also really love. So
Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, I've subscribed to a bunch of those right now, but there's just like If you like just like comics or just nerdy things, there's just so many boxes that you can find.
Yeah, I think I made this revelation, and I only say it because you just brought it up, but I have never watched or read Harry Potter.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even watched it?
No. I don't know what it is. Yeah, to this day, I remember when they came out, I was in grade school, and like the hot thing to have, believe it or not, when I was in elementary school, like this is before cell phone and things like that. Like I know I may look young, I'm 32, but when I was in elementary school, it was kind of cool to have books. Like I remember the book fairs would come and like everybody would
Oh, yeah, I love those.
yeah, and everybody would try to have like the newest Goosebump book, or you know, if you spent like $20, you got like a poster. So like I remember I would tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, the book fair is coming, I need like $20, and she's like, what? For what? And yeah, just always buy like Goosebumps and things like that. But Harry Potter was huge back then. Like a lot of people, it came out like one year just before Christmas, as all good stuff does. And I remember like everybody wanted one. Like it was like the hot thing to have. It was crazy.
Yeah, I started reading Harry Potter right when right before the first movie came out, which I think was like what, 2001 maybe?
2001? Wow.
Yeah, Gryffindor. Yeah, I'm definitely a Gryffindor. Pottermore does not agree with me. It says I'm a Ravenclaw, but you know, I told it no, I'm a Gryffindor.
Oh, see, okay, so Chili knows what I'm talking about because he's from Canada, so he understands. Yes, yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. I doubt you guys would know, but yeah, that's what.
Those are fun.
Yeah, like once a month, I think they had like a little flyer, and I remember
they had the flyers that you would get. I don't know how often, and then they had the main book fair that you would go.
Yeah, the book fair. I remember they had a Spider-Man and an Iron Man bookmark, and like I was never like a reader because like for long books, because I was always like, oh man, I'm bored. Like I need to go do something, right? Like I was always like that. Like I would be reading about something, like say I was reading a book about like hockey or basketball. I would rather just go outside and play hockey or basketball. Like that's how my mind would go. But
I wouldn't like the Harry Potter books, and they're too long.
Yeah, I don't know. There's only a few books that have ever like caught my attention where I'm like, okay, I got to read this. Like, I got to finish this. But a lot of them, like, I'll get into that. Like, you get to almost like just before half or halfway point, and like either, especially with like today's, you know, social media and things like that, like people just spoil it for you. You almost have to like, you know, block any of that stuff. So
it's hard.
Paul is saying, oh, so you guys do get it. Okay, cool. So you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still have them, which is cool.
Oh my God. Wow. I didn't think like kids of today read.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Does anybody remember the bookmarks? They used to have superhero bookmarks. And I remember I picked up, my mom gave me $20, and I remember I picked up like 10. And I remember getting home and mom's like, oh, what'd you buy with the money at the book fair? And I was like, I got these bookmarks. And then she was like, did you get any books? And I was like, no, I just wanted the bookmarks because they have superheroes on it. And she's just looking at me like, what did
you do with them then?
I don't know. To this day, I don't know where all that stuff went. I'm like, shoot. If I would have just saved all the money I had given to me for book fairs and things like that, oh man. Read the illustrated ones. Yeah, I tried.
Oh yeah, those are beautiful.
Some creators like seem to be moving slowly into single issue releases. Oh, so this is all like indie talk here. Example, Pulp. Yeah. My daughter brings me the catalog. Yeah, I get nostalgia. Yeah, man, that's crazy, man. That is so crazy. Even when I watch like just a lot of that stuff from like my childhood, you know, like I made the mistake of saying out loud in front of a group of people. They were talking about like nostalgia things, and I was like, hey, do you guys remember like Pokemon? And then everybody was just like, you know, and they went off, but it was around like younger people. So like people who were like kind of in their 25. So like they grew up with like different ones. They're kind of telling me, they're like, newbie, yeah, you got to have this pack and this. And like, there's like 1,000 Pokemon now and did it. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, there's 151. And like, they're like, no, man, there's like 1,000 now. And I'm going crazy because they're showing me like all these like different cards you can buy and like different packs. And I'm like, yeah, where are the original though? Like,
right.
That's what I want. Like, I want, you know, like anybody my age who likes that stuff. Like, I want the original one because I want to open up a Charizard. Like that is like still one of my like dreams is to get a damn Charizard. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, that was never really my thing, but I know people that like it.
Pokemon will never die. It's just there's so many of them now that I'm like, okay. Like I watched that Ryan Reynolds movie, the Pikachu.
I like that. I did think it was good.
I liked it. I really liked it. But like there's some Pokemon in there that I'm like, wait, who's that? Like I remember pausing it, being like, who's that? Which one's that? What? Where's this one? And I'm like, yeah, it just gets crazy. But like, some people will say that about like, Funkos in like 10 years or like, certain comics in 10 years. You'll never know where you're gonna be. So it's just crazy. What's going on, Guzman? When you said remember Pokemon, they were probably really mad. Yeah, probably. Oh man. So I want to ask you a question. Because lately I've had a few of the ladies say that they're into this, but cosplay or no? Do you do cosplay?
I do a little bit. I did do the two different types. So obviously, probably hardcore cosplayers are gonna hate me, but I really get hardcore when it's around like Halloween stuff.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I know, like, yeah, it's Halloween. Maybe that's not the same thing, but I honestly go really hardcore. I don't know why I don't do it as much for cons, but I do it, for like work and stuff. And I'll do like, let's see, what have I done? I did Mrs. Frizzle recently, and with like the lizard and everything, I had like a cutout. And Velma, and last year was Luna Lovegood. And
Luna
Lovegood from Harry Potter.
Yeah, I know some of the names because I'm like, wait, is that?
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, and Velma and Mrs. Frizzle got me first place at my work contest, so I'll take it. But yeah, I tried doing it a couple times at conventions, but they're pretty much like really low-key ones where it's just like maybe it's a Harry Potter inspired one, or I'll just wear like, geek fashion stuff. I think I just haven't done like the full cosplay there just because I think like it's gonna be uncomfortable for me. Like, because I am definitely, when I do my Halloween costumes, it's like hardcore with all the wigs and everything. I end up getting a headache, and I know it's already like tiring just going around conventions and stuff with just wearing normal clothes. So, but I think eventually, since I have those costumes still, I might as well just like break them out next time and just see how it goes.
Shoddy had mentioned this because she does cosplay and she goes to conventions like it. And she had made the point of, it is all fun, but it does get kind of tiring when you are at the conventions because so many people want to like stop and take a picture and they want to stop you and this and that. So like it does get a little crazy. Do you find that when you go to cons like that or no?
Like if it's happened to me?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't do any like crazy cosplay for the conventions, but it was funny. I did get stopped once. I was just wearing like a very like Harry Potter inspired like look with like the tie and just like a jacket and things like that. And like someone actually went up to me and was like, "Oh, can my daughter take a picture with you?" I was like, "Oh, okay." So I mean, it's cute. I don't know if I'd want to be stopped all day, but I feel like I want to try it at least enough times because I've been to conventions so many times that I know how it goes and everything. And depending how many days I'm going, I don't have to do it like every time. Oh, Pixar didn't happen. I have some pictures on Instagram.
It's funny because like I was just about to say like, Joe, are you Canadian? Because like in my circle, that's like one of the things we say. Like one of my buddies will be like, for example, Keys will be like, man, I just saw like some dude like crossing the street with like no clothes. I'd be like, Pixar didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like that's
a Chicago thing too, or at least
we always do that. So that's cool. Louis saying cosplay all day. He's big in cosplay. He's a good dude. I've never gone into cosplay. It's just not something. But I know again, it's like Funko. Like the cosplay people, they are a different breed. Like it is like especially the hardcore ones. It's like all right.
Yeah.
Like,
I love going to cons though and just seeing like what everybody's cosplay is. I think that's more exciting for me than like actually doing it myself. Because you just see like how creative people are, or it's just like that you'll just find someone that's dressed up as anything. Like, oh, I remember that from my childhood. I remember that. It's cool. I usually don't go take like pictures with them or anything, but sometimes depending what it is.
I think it was at San Diego. I think it was at San Diego or New York. It was like 3-4 years ago, and there was this dude that came. I mean, it could have been a woman. I don't know. But there was a guy that came as like Thanos, but he was like massive. Like it was like there's a few pictures like on Instagram and things like that you probably find. But again, it's a few years ago. But the dude was like massive, and I just thought like how much time like have you spent this whole year leading up to this, like thinking about doing this and
Yeah.
doing like it's not something that you're just like, okay, the con's on Friday, I'll whip something up on like Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
I
crazy.
feel like cosplay is just like another type of art. It's awesome. 'Cause I definitely appreciate people that do it, and it's super creative and just like I don't know, I love it.
Yeah. So you are not on YouTube, right? You don't have
No,
a channel? No.
not yet.
Yeah. So you have your Instagram and you have your blog. Do you do like kind of like do you do any like videos or anything like that on Instagram? Because I know a lot of people you know, if they don't have YouTube, they'll like do those little snips, reels or whatever on Instagram.
That's been something I've been trying to work on lately. Especially since I recently joined like the comic community. Obviously I've been reading comics for a long time, but it's been like in the last like couple months that I've really like just been talking to everybody and stuff. And I feel like that'll be a good way to like share what I'm into and stuff. So I've been trying to like experiment with that since before I was mostly doing just like photos and stuff.
Joe, I know them. I don't know if Candis does, but yeah, I know them.
Oh. I don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty well known, right, Joe? I've seen them around, but yeah, they grew up.
If I saw what you're talking about, I would know. I don't know.
What's going on, DTC? I always shout these guys out. You know, I try to shout out as many people as I can, but I always find myself shouting these guys out. Him and I believe it's his cousin TK. They're just really good people, really honest people, natural, and I always gravitate towards the natural people. So if you haven't already, please make sure you guys go check these guys out. As I always say, check everybody in the chat, check everybody out, sub, help each other out, grow the community, because you never know when you're going to need somebody, when somebody might be selling something, when there might be a new convention or someone has information that you want. So definitely sub and support each other up. With that said, we're kind of nearing the end. Candis, is there anything you would like to say? Where can people find you? The floor is yours.
Oh, let's see. Well, first of all, thanks again for having me. This was really fun. I'm definitely really new to the community, so it's great to like start meeting everybody and talking to everybody. Hope you guys will check me out on my Instagram, which is Candis_Barbosa, and my blog, which is CandisBarbosa.com, where you can see reviews and pictures of comics and things from conventions. I like to just be reposting things about cons right now since we're not able to go. But yeah. Yeah, definitely say hello and we can talk comics. I'm really excited.
Beautiful. Yeah, definitely. Guys, her information is below, so check it out. I always have fun with these. I always say that, I have fun in all the videos I do, but I always love introducing new people to the community. I feel like one of the things that we need to do is, show the ladies some love. It is 2020. So, I know in my areas, in certain areas, I mean, guys think of, women in comics totally different, but we kind of have to get rid of that mindset. I know some ladies who know more than dudes. So, I know this one chick, she can, you name a character and she's like, the first appearance was this, like just right off, she knows her thing and there's nothing wrong with that. So definitely always love seeing the ladies in the comic community. I want to thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. Please don't be a stranger. Please don't be a stranger. I always say that to everybody. You're more than welcome to come back. I always tell all the ladies, you are more than welcome to come back. So I hope you join me again. I hope when Chicago and the borders open up, we'll be able to meet, do some hunting and things like that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So guys, with that, we've reached an hour, so we are going to say goodbye. Don't forget to check out Candis. Like I said, her information is below. And go support one another, sub up, And guys, like I said at the beginning, I've got a video and our speculation and new comic book day tomorrow, and then Tuesday, comic talk. So you'll see me there. And as always, guys, thank you for joining. I'll see you guys later.
Hi, guys.